The ongoing repression of largely peaceful protests in Myanmar could descend into full-blown conflict on a par with Syria. That is according to UN Rights Chief Michelle Bachelet, warning this on Tuesday. In a fresh appeal to the country's military rulers to stop using live ammunition on demonstrators, the High Commissioner urged states with influence to take immediate and impactful action to halt the slaughter of civilians. From the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, here's spokesperson Ravina Shamdasani in Geneva.
We have witnessed yet another weekend of coordinated bloodshed in many parts of the country, including the reported mass killing of at least 82 people in Bago between Friday and Saturday. The military seems intent on intensifying its pitiless policy of violence against the people of Myanmar, using military-grade and indiscriminate weaponry. The High Commissioner states that there are clear echoes of Syria in 2011. There, too, we saw peaceful protests met with unnecessary and clearly disproportionate force. The state's brutal, persistent repression of its own people led to some individuals taking up arms, followed by a downward and rapidly expanding spiral of violence all across the country. The UN High Commissioner for Human Rights at the time warned in 2011 that the failure of the international community to respond with united resolve could be disastrous for Syria and beyond. The past 10 years have shown just how horrific the consequences have been for millions of civilians. The High Commissioner fears that the situation in Myanmar is heading towards a full-blown conflict. States must not allow the deadly mistakes of the past in Syria and elsewhere to be repeated. Over the weekend, credible reports indicate that the Tatmadaw forces opened fire with rocket-propelled grenades, fragmentation grenades, and mortar fire in Bago, in the south of the country. Some individuals are now resorting to the use of makeshift or primitive weapons in self-defense. Clashes between the military and ethnic armed groups have also intensified in several locations in Kachin, Shan, and Kayin states, where the military have been employing airstrikes that have killed and displaced civilians. The mass arrests have forced hundreds of people to go into hiding, and reports suggest that many journalists, civil society activists, celebrities, and other public figures are being sought, many simply because of the dissent they have been expressing online. Wireless broadband and mobile data services were cut indefinitely on the 2nd of April, leaving the vast majority of the population without access to vital sources of information and communication. The High Commissioner has called on the Myanmar military and neighboring states to facilitate humanitarian access to populations in need. She has urged neighboring states to give temporary protection to people fleeing the violence and to refrain from returning Myanmar migrants at this time. This is in accordance with the principle of non-refoulement. Statements of condemnation and limited targeted sanctions are clearly not enough. States with influence need to urgently apply concerted pressure on the military in Myanmar to halt the commission of grave human rights violations and possible crimes against humanity against the people. The High Commissioner, Michelle Bachelet, has stressed the need to cut off the supply of arms and finances to the military leadership that aid in its commission of serious human rights violations.